this looks like an English department meeting. A lot of people in the English department here. Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
Hi, Erica.
Hey, Leslie. Hi,
Hi,
Jose.
Jocelyn.
Hi.
We have people attending our event. We were actually kind of worried a little bit that people won't show up, but
Yeah.
great. It's great to see everybody. Okay, I think we can get started. Okay, well, thank you everybody for being here. Let me introduce myself. My name is Rochelle Perez, and I work in the library. That makes me a librarian. So let's have the other people that my co-facilitators in this event. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hi, everyone. I'm Leslie Gale, and I am in the English department and really looking forward to sharing ideas with all of you about AI.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jose Alfaro. I teach in the English department and also under social justice studies. And I'm also the Puente co-coordinator on campus. Happy to be here and share space with y'all.
Okay, just a disclaimer before we start our session. We are not computer scientists, guys. So we know that this is about AI, artificial intelligence. But if there's somebody, I think Wendell is here, let us know if we're talking something that's not correct. So again, well, the goal really of this session is to start a conversation on artificial intelligence in community college, in the classroom, and other spaces on the campus. So our hope is that this session will be an impetus to more discussions on AI. So we have some materials for you to look at. But before we do that, let me see, I have a poll here just to get a temperature check on your feeling on AI. Mhm. Oops. Okay, let me end the poll. And let me show you the result. Are you seeing it? Are you seeing the result?
Yes.
Okay, so great. So according to our data here, so people are equally concerned and excited. That's good to hear. 60% of you guys here are kind of not sure where we are on it. And some people are more excited. So for those people who have responded to more excited than concerned, let me just end this. If I can end this. If you please put on the chat why you are, of course, my follow-up question, why are you more excited than concerned regarding AI? This is AI in general, by the way, not specific to classroom, AI in your daily lives. So can you put on the chat, please, why you're excited about AI? Productivity, yes. Thank you, Jen. It's another creative outlet, sure. Great. Okay, that's wonderful. So for those people who have answered otherwise and more concerned, about AI than excited about it. Can you tell us why? Yes, possibility of this technology being abused. Long-standing learning gaps in written English. Okay, so that's great. It's great to see for the facilitators here, Jose, Leslie, and I. We really wanted to know where we are, our feeling regarding AI, and then so it's really it mirrors what the Pew Research Center had done two years ago. That's 2022, where Americans are thinking that they just don't know where we are on it. So there's concern, they're and also excited about it. And I think because there's a lot of unknown, and we've seen it very positive in our lives, both positive and negative, in regards to AI. Now, let me show you. Let me share my screen here. Okay. All right. Can you see my screen on the research guide? Yes? Yes, great. Okay. So what we have prepared for you are actually resources that you can go to learn more about AI. This is keep in mind that this is a 1 hour session. And so we'll not be able to present to you what AI is. And so we thought, you know what, let's get this started by showing people what we've learned from the webinars, from the classes that we've taken, from stuff that we've heard on the radio or on the computer, what we saw on the computer. And so this, let me share this with you a little bit. You know, this image that you see here is actually an AI generated image. Did you know that in Canva, not Canvas, Canva, that there's already a box there that you type in what you want to see and it would come out like something, an image like this. So I was surprised with that the other day because, you know, I use Canva, but then I didn't realize that they have that function now. So I put in AI and in the classroom, and I came up with this. And so the research guide starts here, and what you will see here are like a definition of artificial intelligence. What the research guide here is really curated resources on AI, ChatGPT, academic integrity, so on and so forth. And so what you will see here, and feel free to use this in your classes, in your readings, as you know, look at those resources that we have here. So, of course, it refers to the use of programs, machine systems that simulate human intelligence. And this is what people have been using the AI for, the Siri, Alexa, the self-driving cars, etc. But also you will see on the research guide are terms that, you know, probably you need to be a little bit familiar with. But these are the terms that's being used when people would talk about AI. Feel free to use and read the references at the bottom that you will see that's coming from, you know, where I got this from. We will also see a tab on AI resources. And by the way, this research guide will be available for you after this, and we'll send you the link.
Leslie actually put it in the chat. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Also on AI resources, of course, as a librarian, you may probably want to see the books that we have in the library. And so these are links to glossarious books that talk about AI. Okay. I also included videos here I thought that this is a short video right here. This is an 12-minute video if you want to learn more about artificial intelligence. Really great. You can even show this to your students. This is produced by PBS. So we have access to this particular video. And if you want to take a deep dive to AI, this one, I think is the best one that you can look at. And this is a 1 hour and 11-minute video. Also important in this research guide are links like this. Okay, so where did Rochelle get all this stuff? These are links that I got from my classes, from webinars that I attended, whether for librarians or for faculty. Okay, and just to highlight some of that, this one here is we have, let's see, they're all good. If you want to know the future of AI and how it will change education, Jorgensen had released one on January 3rd. You know, there's things just to, you know, and of course, Ezra Klein podcast has been very, very popular to a lot of people because of what he said on AI. And so you have this wonderful links that you can go to. New York Times by Ruse is also something that people have been talking about, referring to Ruse as somebody who's done a lot about AI. Also, going to the ChatGPT, which we are all talking about, you have the definition of the ChatGPT over here. And then when I ask, you know, why don't I just ask about ChatGPT if it knows itself? And so this is what ChatGPT gave me. Very accurate though. So that's great. And then the University of Arizona Libraries, if you want to learn more about ChatGPT, they have short videos. Love these videos. That's why I put them here, because they're short, like 3-minute long videos that will talk about this kind of stuff, ChatGPT, technology, how to prevent harmful use, and how to use ChatGPT effectively. Okay, so again, 3 minutes, very easy to look and listen to. Of course, there's always resources that you can look at. UNESCO, if you want to look at the global perspective on what's happening with AI, has a quick start guide. Very interesting, and they also identified the issues surrounding ChatGPT on a global perspective. Okay, we have a book, ChatGPT for Dummies, that's available in the library. And these videos here are something that we have access to in Los Rios from Films on Demand, and they're all, if you notice the resources here, they're pretty new. Anything that's beyond like 2020, 21, they're probably old. So I try to keep it to even 22 to 24, the current ones. Of course, people will talk about prompt engineering, and what prompt engineering basically is what you put in the box in order to retrieve result that you want the ChatGPT to produce. And I personally like this particular framework by Leo Lowe's. First of all, it's easy to remember. It's clear, okay? And then you have here some examples here on how you can write your text, your prompt better. So the check mark here tells you this is a better way of writing it. If it's concise, this is how you write it for photosynthesis significance. And then if it's adaptive, you know, it's all here. Okay, again, we have this available also in this research guide. I like the tutorials that you can get from here. Again, this is taken from one of the webinars that I attended, where it tells you more information about the Gen AI and the basic of prompting. All right. Okay. Okay, so this is big. Of course, for the librarians, this is very important to us, and of course to the faculty. How about citing resources? How do you do that? Okay, so I have included the APA citation style. And you have here, okay, so this is APA, and you have here graphic and so that you'll be able to see it right away. So for APA, OpenAI, it's usually the author. It is the opposite for MLA. And it has the in-text citation there, by the way. MLA, they don't recognize AI as an author. Okay, so they usually, well, you have to start with the title. Okay, and so you have here some examples or the prompt text, not the title, but the prompt text. Okay, these are really easy to follow because we have some examples there. Okay. And
Rochelle, there's a question in the prompt for you about APA.
okay, go ahead. Can you
So Jeanette is asking, you do not include your prompt or request for APA in your citation. Okay.
No.
Thank you.
Yes. And you know what, because this is developing so fast, it is very possible. When I got this information for APA, it was different. And when I went back and double check on it, they changed it. And so this is new as we speak right now. It's just like artificial intelligence is probably it's gonna be different tomorrow. But this is what we have so far. Okay. Academic integrity, this is a huge issue for AI. And I love this, that's really thoughts, it's perspectives of Sarah Ethan from University of Calgary, an expert in AI. And she actually just came out with a book from that talks about academic integrity in higher education globally. So looking at that, so the only problem that I have with the book is it's a $600 book. So yes, it is. So trying to see if we can get it on, and we'll see how it goes. So it just came out, a very, very fascinating book, because it's, if you think about it, it will affect especially those like students that we have or immigrants, how they're looking at academic integrity when they come to our campus. So I thought that would be a very important piece that we need to learn. Okay, so using artificial intelligence for schoolwork does not automatically equate to misconduct. So I thought that's very powerful. And the one here, artificial intelligence is not going anywhere. We must learn to work with new technology and not against it. So these are something that we really have to think about as we, roll out this academic integrity in our college. I also have here the course policy recommendations. Okay, and I look at this as levels of permissions. So these are some examples. And so you will see here some of them, like the no use of generative AI tools permitted. These are examples of the language in the syllabus. And highlighted here, the use of Gen AI for any part of your work will be treated as plagiarism. Really strict on that particular aspect of using AI. And also, the second example here is a violations of academic honesty. So very explicit that if they use it, they're violating the rule. So some of languages they're permitting it with specific context. So this is an example here that the student can use Gen AI, such as ChatGPT, but you have to inform the professor on how and when you're going to use this tool, okay? And then another example here where the professor is asking the students to put an appendix at the end and then to lay out the details of like what part, how are the AI tools were used, when, the description. Okay, so it's an appendix that this particular professor had asked the students to do. Now, very liberal in using Gen AI in the classroom is or these are examples, which there's like encouragement and invitation to use AI platforms to prepare for assignments and projects. Okay. And then this is again another example, using AI gen tools is permitted and will be a normal and regular part of our creative process. Okay, so Leslie Jose and I are not telling you what to use because it would depend. You're just faculty. It is, I mean, the personal thought is at your discretion. Okay, if it's a computer science, you have your own you know, a certain how do you call it, conversation that you have with your colleagues regarding that. You may also want to check this list, an extensive list of course policy language in different disciplines. And this is something that I got from one of the webinars when it has like 92-page long, where people are putting their course policy in their syllabus. So this is worth checking this out because it tells you to whether, you know, what discipline they belong to. So I just put a link here. Feel free to use that or look into it. Of course, the academic integrity resources here. Okay. Again, this is Sarah Eaton's article or link for the Institute of Teaching and Learning, where you see that graphic on an AI and higher ed. These are two important articles on cheating. And this is 2022 article, and the other one's 2023. 2022 articles. It's really a study of why students cheated. Okay, and it was really an eye-opener that it's highlighted here that most students did not initially recognize their acts as cheating. So, and this is a lot of I believe the subjects are there's a lot of it, and it was done into 2 departments. It's not in community college, but it is just something that when I read this, my perspective was a little bit different now on why do students cheat. So it's not like intentional that they do it. It's just that they just didn't know that that's you know, part of cheating, that is an issue. And also here is the benefits and challenges of AI in higher ed that I got from Hanover Research. Again, this is last year, and it tells you the benefits of AI. So they were able to lay it out nicely, including the this one, however, is a challenges taken from another source. Okay. Lack of transparency, accuracy, we know that, bias, intellectual property, cybersecurity, sustainability. Now, the last thing here, what's out there? So here's a list of text generating AI that are available in the world, in the market. And so you have probably by the time we're done with this session, there's something there that's new. So who knows? ChatGPT is something that is created by OpenAI. And now it used to be Bard, and recently they changed this Bard to Gemini. There's a name change to it. Claude is another one that people have been talking about by Anthropic. Perplexity is another one I've heard of. And this one is a text generating AI for educators like us, researchers. You can use the Quillbot is one that I've seen. Elicit is another one. Diffit is another one. Keep in mind that some of these are free and some of them you have to pay, and sometimes they're in different how do you call it, levels, depending on how sophisticated or the features that you want. Multimedia generating AI tools. There's an image generating tools. We've probably heard of this, DALL-E. And then we also have Midjourney. some are to DAL 2 and now they're now on DAL E3. Okay, then audio generating AI tools are available too. Chrome Music, 11 Labs, Stable Audio, and for video, you have this. Okay, the code generating AI tools. So probably computer science professors who are here may be familiar with this one. And then there's what we call TAF. There's an AI for that. And then if you click on that, it will tell you AI tools that are available on a daily basis. Tons of it, and their function. So this will be available to you. Feel free to add if there's something that you've heard in, I don't know, in a conference or something that you want us to add in the resources here. Let me know and I'll be happy to add them for you. And so let me turn you to Jose for the next part of the session.
Yeah, and actually, Leslie and I will kind of go over this together. Yeah, I mean, I think Leslie and I have very similar practices, and we're both going to go over just different ways that we've approached AI in our classroom. Leslie, do you want to say a little bit about modifying AI bias and how that relates maybe to your teaching practice?
I thought that was how you eliminated or how you detected bias when you were using ChatGPT.
Oh, ChatGPT. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can go over that. Yeah. So I guess first, maybe before I dive into that, I just want to say like where we're at maybe. So for me, at least, I'm still learning every semester as I go how to approach AI. And I'll share a little bit about what I've done, how I built Canvas shells, how I detect AI when it is being biased, and then and how I've used it also to create assignments. But mainly what I've tried to do is try to get students to still see their voice as valuable, and to not lose sight of that when they're producing work. And so what that means is I kind of have to really set the tone at the beginning of the semester, and talk about AI really within the first week instead of bringing it up just when it becomes a problem. Leslie, do you want to say anything about how you start?
Yeah, so from day one, we start talking about the importance of their own unique writing voices. And in my English classes, their very first assignment is using ChatGPT and evaluating. Usually it's something that they are an expert on already, and they see what ChatGPT has to say about it, and they go through a process of what kind of voice is ChatGPT generating here? Would I have said it that way? Is there something missing, or are there inaccuracies? So if there's something that they're already an expert on, it allows them the chance to see how well ChatGPT may be able to represent that subject. So I think, I don't know, Jose, if I guess I'll just talk about some of the first assignments that I'm having them do. And for me, I'm similar to Jose that I'm kind of making stuff up as I go. As ChatGPT becomes smarter and more proficient. So I've ended up spending a lot of time changing my assignments. And I actually think my assignments are way better now. They're not typical assignments that students have been doing, all through K through 12. There's always some aspect in which they are representing themselves in the assignment that's something ChatGPT would not be able to do. So I start out by asking them to read something that's very recent. So, for example, I subscribe to the New Yorker, and I get the New Yorker, and I'm immediately looking for fiction, poems, personal history pieces. And it's something that is not already out there on the internet. And I asked them to analyze that writer's voice. And I have a series of prompts for what types of things they may be looking for as they're trying to analyze this writer's voice. I also have them write something about themselves and then go back and analyze their own writing voice. And something I've started doing recently is asking them to have someone else who knows them read what they've written and tell them, describe for them what their writing voice is. Does that make sense? So like I asked my friend to read this paragraph that I wrote, and what does that person notice about the writing voice? Because I think sometimes a couple of things happen through K through 12 education. One is I don't think maybe their teachers ever talk to them about voice, and maybe the teachers inadvertently gave them the idea that they have to write with this academic voice, and that their own natural writing voice is not adequate in education or valuable. So I try to dispel some of those misperceptions. I have my students write in class every day. I know that's not really feasible to do in an asynchronous class, but I do it in both in-person and synchronous Zoom classes. That allows me to not only get to know them really well pretty quickly on a variety of prompts, but it also helps me to be able to recognize their voice. And that, I think, does a lot for students' confidence, because in my in-person class, their handwriting, they give it to me. I'm making comments to them. They know that I'm reading and recognizing their voices, and they're recognizing that I appreciate their voices. And let's see, is there anything else? Yeah, I think just for me, I'm really helping students to not have the perception that they need to adopt an academic voice. Something else that I try to do with my students is to, like, if I see in a discussion post, I think more than anywhere else, sometimes I will see something a student writes, and then in my comments in the assignment that only they see, I'd say, oh, this doesn't really seem like, what I've seen your writing voice. And so they know that I actually do know what their writing voice is, and that something is not really fitting here. So I think that kind of covers it, Jose, for how I approach it from the beginning. And I have to say that since I started doing this, I really, like this semester and all the assignments that I've done, whether it's in class or on Canvas, I've only had one student in a discussion post that I was like, oh, this wasn't even really the prompt. And this really sound like, in my mind, I was saying this really sounds like AI. Yeah. And so I just put in the comment, this is kind of what I was looking for. And also this doesn't really seem like how you write in my experience so far in the class. Yeah. And it kind of makes them aware.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Leslie. Oh, good question. So I was going to go over this a little bit. So Erica asked, other than pointing out your awareness that a student isn't using their writing voice, how else do you approach the situation? Do you still grade the response? So for me, I mean, I kind of use ungrading, so all my assignments are complete, incomplete. So the student usually receives an incomplete, but incomplete in my class means revise and resubmit. And so I'll usually let the student know, because I had this happen actually this past week. A student wrote about a play that we were reading, but the characters' names were wrong. And I think it's because ChatGPT doesn't know this play because it's pretty recent. And so I think it made up characters, and then it submitted this whole story. There's even like a background to these characters, and I'm like, what play is this? It's a completely different play than the one I'm teaching. But I just told the student, I was like, this doesn't feel like it was written with your voice. The characters' names also don't match the story. I would like you to revise and resubmit, and to have a conversation with you about your own writing voice and maybe what kind of led to you turning in this work. Because I do want to have that discussion. So I try to still tell them, one, I'd like to have a discussion about, what led to this moment, what kind of overwhelm are they feeling? And then I also try not to shame them. So I do tell them, like, I'm not saying you can never use ChatGPT, but let's have a conversation about how you can use it to maybe amplify your voice, but it shouldn't take it away in any way. So yeah, that's been my approach right now. But I'm learning as I go, as these discussions come up, because these conversations are also really new with my students. So in the chat, I was going to share the ChatGPT cheat sheet. And I remember I was talking to somebody and I told them that I actually show my students how to use ChatGPT. And they were like, wow, that's really scary and brave of you. And maybe it is, but I kind of see it this way. I would rather teach my students how to use it, and then talk about what's ethical and what's not, than have them have these assumptions, right? I thought that Rochelle's sheet that explained why students cheat, and that most of the time students don't really realize that they're cheating, is even giving me a new framework to think about it. But I would rather teach them how to use it than have them go off and then use this tool and not really know how they're navigating it, and not really learn how to critically read it, right? We teach students how to critically read in our classrooms, but this is a tool that also needs to be investigated and read and critiqued, in the same way that they do with their textbooks and with any reading that we assign. So my friend shared this cheat sheet with me. He's in grad school and he uses AI sometimes, and not to do the work for him, but so that it can maybe emphasize certain things, or he'll ask it to like revise certain things, to make the language maybe a little bit more friendly, like correct the tone of something. And so ChatGPT works really well when you give it really clear guidelines. So if you are using it and you're interested in playing around with it, how it works is you usually want to give it a role. Like, say you are a college professor, write a prompt on XYZ, or write a Canvas page on XYZ. You want to tell it what tones you want to use, what kind of writing style, and you want to be very descriptive. And I won't go over all of these, but it's just a cheat sheet that you can use also as you go into ChatGPT and play around with it, so that you can start seeing what works, what doesn't work as you're using it. I kind of want to just play around with it in case people in this meeting have never used ChatGPT before. So since you all have the roles, let's do one together. So someone give me a role to give ChatGPT. You are a blank. Student.
Versatile project engineer.
Oh, okay. We'll do a versatile project engineer. Right. What do you want this project engineer to write?
A plan for a new cafeteria.
New cafeteria. Um, please write in a, what tone do we want?
Cutting edge.
Cutting edge. Tone. Any other descriptions people want? Okay, I think I'll go for it. So it does this really, really fast. If you've never seen this happen in real time, it writes it in seconds. And it creates categories. And the first time I used it, I was like, I can't believe it just did that quick. I played around with it with like stories. It can write like creative stories also. So the project title is Next Gen Eats, Revolutionizing the Cafeteria Experience. Introduction. Welcome to the future of dining. At Next Gen Eats, we're redefining the cafeteria experience by combining cutting-edge technology, sustainable practices, and innovative design to create a space where employees not only nourish their bodies, but also foster creativity and collaboration. And then it has goals, project objectives, the concept development, design, construction, and installation. So this is where roles become really significant in what you tell ChatGPT to do, because it'll give you more specific language related to that role. And you can always tell it to revise. So you could say, can you revise this in a friendlier tone? And so it begins instead with where we're cooking up something special. We believe that the cafeteria shouldn't just be a place to grab a bite. It should be a vibrant hub. Yes, so let's do that. Can you, Jeanette said, can you include an audience such as asks for students, faculty? Can you revise this so that the audience is a group of college students? So it redefined it. So redefining dining at our university. And there you see it starts making it more specific to college. So Dream Big Bulldogs, it gave you a mascot for the college. Yeah, it specified, got a wild idea for a DIY pizza bar or a smoothie station with all the fixings. Let's make it happen. So this is very different than the first version it gave you. And yeah, exciting for who, Leslie, that's the language can be exciting to different folks. So that's just an example so that you all can go in and start playing with it if you're curious about it. I wanted to show you all like how you can use it to build a Canvas page, which I've done before. I haven't done this, but I got curious about this morning. So I gave it this prompt. You are a college professor, build a Canvas page for college students, explaining how to use literary criticism in their writing. Use a friendly tone with a conversational writing style. And then it gave like this welcome message. Hi there, literary enthusiasts. Are you ready to take on writing to the next level? Awesome. In this guide, we're diving into the world of literary crit. And so it created this definition, why students should care, how to use it in their writing. So it kind of goes over like choosing your lens, that literary criticism helps you approach things differently, how to gather evidence, analyze like a boss. So it's kind of conversational and formal to connect with its audience. Consider counter arguments, so who might disagree with certain theories, and then tips and tricks and a conclusion. So what I've usually had to do is I've gone in, created this, and then I have to revise the language still because it doesn't suit me and how I talk to my students. But it kind of helps me conceptualize like an outline, or sometimes I have preconceived ideas of what I expect from students, and I don't realize that there are expectations that I have of them until I do something like this, and I'm like, oh yeah, that is an expectation I have of them. ChatGPT laid it out pretty clearly, and I kind of want to use this framework. I wanted it to revise it so that it could specify the theories we're going over in class. So I said, can you rewrite this and incorporate examples from feminist theory, Marxism, and colonial studies as they pertain to literary criticism? And so it creates the same prompts, but it foregrounds the theories we're going to use. Yes, Jeanette. I mean, I would cite it just because that's how my ethics work. That's helping me generate it. But I tell students, right, this language has been modified and taken from this. Yeah. And then where does it goes over the theories here. So the 3 theories are listed there. So how to discern and also realize that ChatGPT is limiting. So here's an example. I talked about this before. I got this idea from my friend Sarita Cannon, who teaches at SF State. So Toni Morrison has a novel called Paradise, where she starts the novel saying that there's a white girl in the novel, but you never know who the white girl is in the novel because the characters are all, for the most part, the central characters are Black, and Morrison's playing with race. But I asked ChatGPT who is the white girl in Morrison's Paradise, and then it gives a direct name that it's Arnett Fleetwood. And then I followed up with, I thought Paradise didn't have white characters. And then ChatGPT says, you are correct. My apologies for the oversight. So it's not accurate all the time, right? And it makes mistakes. It has flaws. How it sets things up is not always useful. And so this is a good example of showing students, like, it's not a very good literary critic or analyst. Like, it can't leave room for ambiguity all the time. So I always try to follow up with like questions with ChatGPT or revisions, or if sometimes I use it to go over historical moments that I need for the literature that I'm teaching, and I ask it to talk about any bias. So I was in one class that I'm teaching Chicana feminism, and I asked ChatGPT to give me a background of Chicana feminism and its history. And so it did, but I didn't like that it didn't talk about the limits of Chicana feminism, especially its conflicts with Indigenous studies. And so I said, describe Indigenous appropriation within Chicano studies. And then it gave me that information. So again, it can create this really romanticized view of a certain topic. And if you're trying to nuance things and get into rich discussions with students, you really have to do the work to make sure that that is what you're getting at. And that's also one way to know when students are using it. Say you describe something that's really complex in class, but the way that they're describing it in their essays is not allowing for that complexity and curiosity. That's where, you can have these discussions and invite students into those discussions. And then last, I'll just share this. This is my language for ChatGPT in my syllabus. And it's constantly up for revision, but I just tell my students, I understand that the emergence of ChatGPT has already radically shifted the terrain of what it means to write. And I understand that as technology advances and grows, it will continue to change the nature of how we create, work, and communicate. That being said, my expectation in this course is that we do not devalue the learning process, that you don't give up on thinking deeply, and that you choose to grow as a writer and thinker who is finding your own voice. In other words, I care a lot more about what you think and on helping you improve on how you express your ideas. It should go without saying that I would rather read your work than read a paper constructed by AI. Out of care for each other, I hope we will value each other's voices and writing. ChatGPT can certainly be a tool, and we will talk about how it can be used throughout the semester in a way that feels ethical as we build our learning community. So that's where I'm at right now with it, but still open to revision. And I'll leave it there.
So Jose and I had the opportunity to have a workshop with tutors at CRC a couple of weeks ago, and it was a really fantastic experience because most of the tutors are students at CRC themselves. And we had a series of prompts that we gave them. And I just wanted to share some of the things that the tutors said in relation to AI. And I'm just going to read some of the statements that they shared with us. And I think the prompt was, in your perspective, why do you think students use AI when their instructors ask them not to? And so some of the responses were the fear of being incorrect prompts students to rely on AI. And I think that that comment could be unpacked for a really long time. That there's this idea of incorrect when it comes to writing, especially. Help students to recognize, so these are some suggestions that they had. Help students to recognize what they do know about the subject. So these were tutors in all different subjects, not just in English. So this is, I think, a really important thing to think about, of really recognizing the knowledge that the students are already bringing in, what they've learned so far. Encourage students by confirming that they will continue to develop in the subject. So to me, I like to take the perspective of, I value what you bring and I value your voice, and I'm going to, whenever possible, give students the benefit of the doubt. Another comment was, when it comes to writing, try to value content and their own unique writing voices without overemphasizing correctness. So I think when they are talking about correct and correctness, to me, that seems like mostly sentence skills. And so, especially if you are teaching content rather than writing, but even in writing classes, I think recognizing, like in Jose's syllabus, really wanting to know their thoughts and sharing their ideas, which we don't want correctness to paralyze that aspect in the student experience. Students, another tutor said, students have great ideas, but they may not be confident in how to articulate the ideas. And so I really like the idea of allowing them to say it in their own way and showing that you actually do value their voice. Obviously, if you're teaching in a content that if they have a misperception about the content, that certainly would need to be corrected. But in the way they express it, I think we need to be pretty flexible. Students may not be able to recognize that language generated by AI tends to be formulaic and is not necessarily good writing. And I think that goes back to what I was talking about before, that they may have been mentored into taking on this overly academic tone in other classes that they've had, and that they may have been rewarded for writing that way in the past, rather than writing in a way that would be more natural to them. So I love that comment, that students may have the idea that whatever AI puts out is better than what they could write. And we saw from Jose's examples that even the content may not be accurate, the content may be biased, and the language may not be appropriate for that particular student. I feel like what I've been doing with my assignments, especially in discussions, Canvas discussions, every assignment needs to have something about the student's experience. And so I think we need to kind of step away from that academic stance of, this is this is what I'm writing about. I have nothing to do with it. This is what happened in history. It
Mhm.
doesn't affect me at all. I think we need to kind of switch gears if that's the way that we've been assigning things or sharing writing that has that kind of a tone to it, and recognize that knowledge is really how you are processing it and how it impacts you. So that's kind of the perspective that I like to take. I think we go till 12:15, Rochelle. So we
One-
do have some prompts.
1:15, right?
1:15.
I mean 1:15. Yeah, we're way over if it was.
Yeah.
So we have three prompts here. You can share you can actually, this is not a big crowd, so you can just unmute yourself so we can talk about this instead of reading on the side. And the first question that we have is, in your role on campus where you're sitting right now, when do you think AI is appropriate to use, and or in what situations? Feel free to unmute yourselves.
Hi, I don't know if you guys can hear me. Can you?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
You know, with AI, when you ask what role to use, I think about people Googling. And so I'm going to just personally research how did we go from Googling to AI. And initially when he started talking about biases, I wouldn't initially have a bias against Googling, but I don't know why when I hear that someone would use AI, I have a pause for sure. But in my role on campus as a educator, faculty, I definitely encourage student voice. But as far as what AI is appropriate, I've just been telling students, you know, do your own brainstorm first, or we brainstorm in class as a collective, and then if you have any doubts and you want to double check, you can, but don't let this be a crutch, or don't let it be your inspiration. That you're your own inspiration. So anyway, I don't think that we can avoid it because I think it's the new Google, or it sounds like it's becoming the new Google to me.
Well, this reminds me of when we started having Wikipedia. People are shying away from it. And then we have, I don't know which professor is that, in English too. I think it's David Lenchabon, who would ask the students to write something on Wikipedia so that they can have an experience on how your information can affect Wikipedia. So, yeah. Anybody else?
This is Jeanette. Hi, everyone. I do have a question in terms of what data some of these programs keep on students. I know that kind of has come up with Turnitin in the past. And the reason I ask that is because we do documentation, and so sometimes students are not able to take an image of a child in their class for whatever, policies and things like that. And so I could see an AI generated, image perhaps helpful to that documentation process, meaning it would be stand in instead of, in the past, I've had them sketch or, do something like that. But I would never want them to submit an image of a child that could be held in any sort of data bank. Is this making sense?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have an answer, but I do have like a discussion, right? That sounds like a discussion that would be worth having, like with students, on the ethics of AI, especially imagery. I mean, we mostly went over text today, but there's like a lot of questions around images and consent and using stock images to create other kinds of images. So yeah, I mean, I think that that's one dangerous part. It's like that double-edged sword. That AI is both useful, but oh, Andy just put something in the chat that talks about AI. But yeah, that's my impulse is to say that this is probably a good discussion to have with students about that before they go on the image hunt.
And let me also add, this is, in a bigger realm here. Copyright Office and the Library of Congress, that when you submit, let's say, an image, then you want your image to be copyrighted. They have a new guidance now where you have to identify in your let's say it's an image, which one is human generated and which one is AI generated. Okay, so this is like if somebody wants to have like a particular image that's like a combination of human and AI generated. So it's really beyond this image generating AI is something that's beyond us. I mean, it's a lot of issues out there, including in the Copyright Office that's being the guidance. They have to tweak it so that they need to know, and if you're an applicant, you need to state which one of the images an AI generated and which one is human is human. So they don't, because they don't give copyright to AI, right? And so you have to state in your application which one is the one that you did as a person and not the computer.
Thank you all.
We can actually go to the second prompt here. How might we mentor students as they interact with AI and build their scholarship? Well, I can say that the library is approaching AI proactively, and we're actually approaching it head on by offering workshops. We have scheduled workshops in fall. So we're looking at twice a month where we can mentor students. We can show students how to use ChatGPT and how to ethically use information that they get from ChatGPT and other AI tools.
We'd love to hear some of your experiences that you've had. Yeah, really great comments in the chat. It's ever, like Rochelle was talking about, by the end of this workshop, things will have changed already. Being really flexible and recognizing we're all learning. Thanks for everyone who's posting in the chat. Wendell?
Yeah, I can go. I really appreciate the approach you guys are using, where it sounds like you're being more of advocates instead of authoritarians, encouraging the students, saying, hey, we're on your side, you're humans, let's hear your voice. And yeah, that's kind of my mentoring approach as well. I just try to, I teach computer science, and we have a lot of students who use it as a tool to write code. And so, I try to acknowledge that, yes, it's a tool that's used in the industry, but we need to know, I want to know what you know. And I don't want you to use it as a crutch and not learn. So that's been my approach as well. Leslie, really similar to what you've been doing. My emphasis has changed to a greater emphasis on the projects and not so much on the exams, and trying to link it towards the students. You know, for example, instead of what is the difference between X and Y, I'll ask them, how did you use X this semester in one of your projects?
I love that. I would love to see that
Yeah.
if
That
you
sounds
if you have any examples.
Yeah, I could just tell me where to share, but yeah, I can share some because I spent the winter break revising my exams, and so I'd be happy to share some of the revised questions.
This
Yeah,
is
if you
making-
don't mind, we could make sure that the folks in this call get it if you send it to us.
Okay, definitely.
Thank you so much.
this
I'm
making-
so glad you came, Wendell. We
Yeah.
need someone on the tech side.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're scratching our heads too.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, it's making me think, your emphasis on projects. It's just making me think like, I try to go back to when I was a student, to try to remember like how I was taught to produce knowledge. And I can honestly say that sometimes I felt like I was being taught to disappear into the knowledge, if that makes sense. And I think that what we're trying to do now, or what we're learning how to do, is like how to, instead of having students disappear into the knowledge, to actually show us their attachments to it, and to actually present themselves in it, that they don't disappear.
Mhm.
And I think that might be where we're headed as teachers, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, the last question is a professional development question. So as I mentioned to you at the start of this, we are hoping that this would be an impetus to something great, to learn more about AI. So I guess our question is, are there any kind of professional development topics that would be most useful for you as we move forward in an age where AI will shape our world? Not necessarily us conducting the workshops, but what is it that you need? And we'll take your answers to Tanika.
Yeah.
Okay. Sample assignments adjusted for AI. Great.
It seems like some of this is really encouraging us to also reevaluate our materials, especially in the ones where we can't, like the English classes.
Yeah.
If somebody were using older materials or not updating curriculum because maybe they liked what they had or they found it useful, this way encourages me to go back to the drawing board more often. Like you were saying, Leslie, how you use the New Yorker and what you're looking for new. And looking for new also means looking for people of color and people who have been historically just not able to publish, So it opens some opportunities.
Yeah, this was for my women in lit, and it was a new personal history piece from Zadie Smith. And for a lot of the students, that was their first introduction to that author. We're getting some great feedback in the chat. And Wendell, I saw that you were raising your hand.
Yeah, I was going to mention it. It might be helpful. This is so new to everybody, but for teachers to have guidelines. I'm on a working group with Jenna and Emily and Greg, and we're talking about this. But I can say, you know, as a teacher, when I experienced this, I didn't really know what I was allowed to do and what I wasn't allowed to do. We don't want students to get falsely accused, but we also have academic integrity issues. So, you know, we need to develop guidelines, I think, for teachers as we figure this out.
And I'm glad that you said that, Wendell, because I look at the academic integrity language that we have at CRC, and there's nothing that talks about, AI. And in other colleges, universities, they're changing their academic integrity language so that it includes that. So, thank you.
Yeah, Wendell, what's the committee you're on?
Emily, I think Emily's on this call. What's the name of our committee? It's a subgroup from the Academic Senate.
Oh,
But I'm sure once we have some findings, we're going to share them.
good. I'm wondering if we even, maybe out of professional development, could have a canvas for as a holding place for some of the things we've been talking about and requests. Thank you, Andy, for that resource. How AI can be used to close equity gaps. What a great question. That sounds like maybe somebody could apply for a sabbatical to research that. So it is 1:15. I'm willing to stay on if anyone still has comments, but I just want to thank all of you for joining us. And I think the diversity of participants made a big difference in the discussion.
Thank you for facilitating this.
Thank you for coming and for commenting.